Welcome to the Curated Beauty Podcast. Jessica Christie here, a health and beauty enthusiast who became a medical practitioner to be the authority on how to enhance both your outer beauty and inner beauty for the most confident glow. Founding and owning a multi-million-dollar aesthetic medical practice in Michigan, my mission is to bring all the bi-coastal innovations to the fresh coast of Michigan, from which aesthetic treatment gives you the most bang for your buck to how to create systems to be both professionally fulfilled and still have freedom of time and relationships. We will be diving into it all. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Curated Beauty Podcast. I am your host, Jessica, and today I want to talk about something very close to my heart. I honestly just turned on the podcast studio without really knowing what I'm going to say because I'm feeling inspired to share something. So I hope that this resonates with you, especially if you're in healthcare or any industry where you have to honestly wear multiple hats. I mean, that can even be being a mom. So let's talk a little bit about business acumen. Here's the thing. Being a medical aesthetic provider like I am, or just being in healthcare, nobody really teaches you how to become a business person. We're not taught about things like P&Ls and KPIs and SOPs and CRMs. Those fancy acronyms are sometimes things to make us feel inadequate. And you're sitting in a meeting and you're like, I don't know what an SOP is. That was literally me like 18 months ago, I swear. So how did I learn it all? On the go. I really have learned it on the go. And someone asked me today, how did you learn how to do what you're doing? So I showed them a folder and I flipped it open with all these paper-clipped articles that I find interesting and that I've used to learn these things. So whenever I find a moment, usually while procrastinating on some other task, I read them. So today, one such article caught my eye, and it was actually a lost, or should I say bonus chapter from an incredible business person named Alex Hormozi. And this chapter is titled Your First Avatar. And Hormozi talks about identifying the ideal customer. But I think that it goes far beyond just customers. It's about identifying the right team members and figuring out what you're putting out there. What does success look like to you? Once you know that, you can honestly reverse engineer it. And that applies to everything in your life. Everything. I talk a lot about reverse whiteboarding things because when you know what the solution is to the problem, you can then create a process of how to create that exact thing. So that's what has me so fired up right now. The whole concept of re-engineering any process. And when you reverse engineer what makes a good patient or customer buy from you, or what makes someone to decide to join your team or follow you, you can honestly replicate that. And you can make those things happen on purpose. It's not just that I tripped into success and, oh my gosh, look at her, must be so easy and so nice. So let's talk about all the things that are not so hunky-dory. I've faced my fair share of roadblocks. About a year ago, I've shared this on here before, I had a major shakeup in my team, and some of these members were plotting to leave me and even compete directly against me. And these were people who also tried to sway accounts that may not have the best opinion of me. And you know what? That's fine. Not everyone has to like you. In fact, if everyone does, you're probably not doing it right. So we all have right to work in an environment that suits us. That is the beauty of discernment. It's totally okay for some people to not like working with me. It's totally okay for people to not like working with you or being in your space. The feeling is mutual and there is nothing against them for it. So honestly, that's really, what compelled me to jump on here. And I want to talk about some of these insights because maybe, just maybe, they will help you in your journey for when these things happen to you, because it's inevitable. It's inevitable for you to hit potholes and hurdles. And how do you navigate those? So moving on to the actual crash course and what I really want to speak about and some things that have helped me jump over the hurdles and navigate the potholes and go around them but still be able to learn from them is actionable steps. So I just wanted to kind of dive into what I believe just off the cuff how I've expanded some of these ideas. So after the first major hiccup in my team dynamic, I decided that it was time to kind of beef up on my business education. Heidi, one of our incredible team members, had introduced me to Dan Sullivan from The Strategic Coach a while ago. And I was listening to a podcast between Dan and a woman named Shannon Waller, and they were discussing the concept of one-on-ones with your top customers. And that got me thinking, oh my gosh, why not apply that to my team? Like, something obviously happened and there was obviously a crack. So let me just do like a massive intake where they get to share, and it's a platform for them to share and me to listen, because I'm always talking, So I did. I set up a one-on-one with each of my team members, and was that soul feeding. It was really intense to talk about fears and aspirations and need. And these discussions actually really helped me formulate our company's values. And it was almost like performing ACLS on Beauty Culture's Soul, which is advanced cardiac life support, because it was struggling and I was struggling and people could see that. So your core values, by the way, are something that cannot be someone else's. They have to resonate with what you and your team really are. So through these one-on-ones, I not only revived our culture, but also set the foundation for my team to really shine. And they became the Navy SEALs of the medical aesthetics industry. They're highly sought after. People want to know what we're doing. We are honestly in a lot of ways thought of as the threshold for people to raise to, because they're just such an incredible team. So the idea of unique abilities has really been game changing for us. I love asking my team not things like, what's going to keep you here for the next 3 years, but more so, what makes you the happiest when you're at work? What do you look forward to doing when you show up? What do you get excited to see on your schedule? And you know what? When you let people focus on their abilities, even the tasks that no one wants to do somehow get done, because everyone is utilizing their unique abilities, and the synergy is just so unreal. I was recently inspired by a story of Alex Hormozi, as I was sharing earlier, on the exponential growth of focusing on top customers. And this has been something that I've worked with my business coach, and it's been a theme that just really rings true through most people. I mean, it's no shock to hear the whole concept of 80-20 and the 80-20 rule and Pareto's principle. It really takes courage to trim the fat and focus on the 20% that brings in 80% of the revenue, because we just look at numbers and, oh my gosh, how could I shed 80% of my people? But when they're bringing in 20% of your revenue and they're not really your true focus, and they're not the ones that are clearly bought in, it makes it a lot easier to let go and focus on the 20% and really look at what rewards of that can. I mean, that's just really astonishing. So this is where the value acceleration method comes in, which is part of what this article was about that I was reading, or this chapter, I guess I should say. If you're willing to cut out low value engagements, whether it's customers or people that are on your team or other aspects of your business, and double down on what truly adds value, and people that are on your team that are actually an asset and bring things that are actually adding value, you're essentially opening doors to exponential growth. And it's worked for billion-dollar companies, and I believe it can work for us too. So remembering that obviously success is a journey, not a destination, and that, whatever we do, we want to do so meaningfully. So I think something that's really helped me focus on this 20% and a whole new concept that has come in is memberships, and being able to reward people who are fully bought in. If you don't know what I'm talking about in terms of memberships, we do offer a 3-tiered membership where it offers extra value to people who do all the things with us. So there's a lot to unpack there. In terms of key takeaways from the story of how we've moved toward the 20% of the people in terms of our customers and our team members, I think that we really want to look at things like leadership and team engagement, prioritizing the one-on-one discussions with my team, looking forward to doing that with my top spenders and customers, unique abilities, understanding that there are core values and there is a soul of my business, beauty culture, and that we have a job to give that soul what it needs to continue to thrive. And we believe that the reason that we're feeding it and the reason that it's thriving is because there is a value of what it offers to our customers. And so when we offer this high value to these customers, we really want to focus on the people that really buy into that. which is the 20%. And I believe that when we are moving this 80% out, it's the same way as cutting unhealthy people out of your life. You're creating a vacuum for more of the people that are aligned with your values. And really learning that the value to our customer base enables us to increase prices because we know that the perceived value in what we're actually offering them, the patient that we want to bring in believes that they are getting extreme value for what they're paying and that they're happy to pay for what they're getting because they believe that they're getting more value for what they're paying. And even looking at the whole concept of why over what, like we've tapped into the power of why. So it's not just what we're doing, it's why we're doing it. And this applies to relationships with both my team members and my patients, and for anyone's team members and their potential customers and their businesses. And it's really led me to consider and reconsider business strategies like what we used to do with annual sales and moving towards the membership model. We've decided to move from an annual sale model to a membership because this is catering more so to that high value customer and providing them with benefits year round. And then also it's providing my team members a more unique relationship that's feeding them by seeing those same people and being able to watch the journey and their skills just really come to life. And thinking about how we are looking at metrics and we're looking at the success of these strategies in a better way. We are offering scalability as our business continues to grow, and we are bringing that into a personal touch point of one-on-one discussions and helping people scale their lives too. We're closing that feedback loop and looking at the team and the high value customers, and we're making sure that we're all in alignment with core values and the evolving needs of all of that too. And when we feel like there's needs, we kind of open it back up and we make sure that we're offering what everyone needs. My main priority is my team, not my patients. And so we look at that long-term viability of how these changes really affect the sustainability of business. And so in short, to close this podcast out, our journey so far in redefining what beauty culture is and its core values has been really commendable from the standpoint of our patient support, from the standpoint of our team being bought in. And, we've got this actionable plan and we have a focused target audience and we have a drive to execute something that we feel like will be very valuable, and it's different. And we feel like there's going to be a lot of people that want to follow this model because we're thinking outside the box and we're innovating. And it's really exciting to see where this is going to take us next. Thank you so much for joining us today and kind of riding this wave of this very spontaneous podcast. But I just had this to share with you. Whenever I find something that helps me grow, I definitely want to share that with all of you. So have a wonderful day, and we will see you next time on this podcast. Congratulations, you have done it. You've reached the end of an episode on the Curated Beauty Podcast and have enriched a part of your self-care by discovering something new. I hope this time together added a little perspective to your day and will ultimately boost your confidence and give you the strength to do all the hard things. As we walk through this journey together, follow our Curated Beauty Podcast. And if this resonated with you, share it with a friend, save the episode, and also follow our social media platforms in the show notes. We love to engage with our listeners on all levels.